Folks, it is once again the Doctor, Dr. Remy LeBeau. I'm here in the X-Layer to once again help you get through yet another day with your X-Men statue withdrawal syndrome by helping you avoid those withdrawals, providing you with two very beastly X-Men statues of Hank McCoy, sculpted by the Kucherek brothers, released by Bowen Designs. Right now it is early August in 2013. This statue right here was just released this week. Today, I got it today. You may have already seen the individual video for it. So you have gotten to know it. I've gotten to know it, but because it's brand new, I'm still like enthralled by it. I'm still in love by its detail, by its execution, by every aspect of it that makes it one of the coolest statues that Bowen Designs has released, even though they release really cool statues all the time, so it's really hard to say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. One of the really cool statues that Bowen Designs has released. This statue here was released a few weeks ago, and it's a variant of this statue. As you can see, they're very similar, but they're posed differently. I'm going to get into that in a second. This is a showdown. Who's better? Is it the original costume beast? Is it the X Factor beast? I don't know. Let's figure it out. We are going to figure it out. And by the end of it, I'm going to give you a little spoiler. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to black out the screen, turn off the audio if you don't want to find out what happens at the end of this video. I think I'm going to like this one just a little bit more. There's something about it that just strikes me a little bit better than this one. But we're going to get to that. So this statue was released a few weeks ago. It is the original Beast statue. It is part of the original team, the original 5 X-Men, Beast, Angel, Marvel Girl, Cyclops, and Bobby Drake, Iceman. Iceman being the only one that has not been released for this set yet. This one here is part of the X Factor set. Again, it's the original 5 X-Men together again. They started here in the 60s. They got back together here in the 80s as the original 5. I've got Beast, I've got Jean, I've got Cyclops, I've got an X Factor Warren as Archangel. Some of you may disagree about whether that's the X Factor Warren, but that's the X Factor Warren for me. That's what I'm choosing. And again, we are missing Bobby. We are missing Bobby Drake. Bobby Drake is coming out, Iceman, in his X Factor garb in the next couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be very exciting. So essentially, both of these are, very close to completing the individual sets for each of the eras that these statues represent. So, as far as like that whole dimension goes, they're both satisfy like very specific requirements. But I'm going to get into that. Let's not get into that just yet. Let's talk about first the edition sizes. This one has an edition size of 450, and this one has an edition size of 250. So there's 200 less of this puppy than this one. I'm pretty sure they were. I was going to say they're both website exclusives, but I think this one might have been a regular release that was released throughout, the various retailers. But I think this one was a website exclusive. It was made specifically through. It was sold specifically through the Bowen Designs website, and so I think that is maybe why it's a little bit more limited. I don't know. The point is that this one is very limited. If you haven't gotten it yet, you're going to want to get it. So just as far as edition numbers go, this one is more available than this one. Still, 450 is not a big edition number for any statue. So this one will eventually be hard to find if you're looking to make the original team set. But if you're not and you're just interested in like a really cool Beast statue, fortunately there's going to be a third variant of these. It's going to be in his red and blue X costume, which will be very similar to these statues. I don't remember if the pose is different or not. It might be just a mirror sort of image of one of these poses. And so if you're just looking for like a cool Beast statue that has him in human form in a very similar pose to these without trying to, play the game of like making sure you get the statues for a set that other people will be playing in order, to satisfy their requirements, which will then make the demand for these like extremely high in relation to the low supply, driving the price up, making them scarce. You will have another option to sort of be able to circumvent that whole process. So do not fret, folks. Bowen Designs is not going to forget all of you that really just love Hank McCoy as a character and don't necessarily need him in a set, just want to have a statue of Beast. So don't worry, folks. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the statue. I mean, you can tell that they're very similar, but also different. Like the poses are different. Obviously, the costumes are different. And so, as far as like which one you're going to like better, it's going to come down to a few things. It's going to come down to which era you prefer. It's going to come down to the pose, what pose you like better. And then beyond that, I mean, they're just both really cool statues, and they're very similar, but their poses, like I said, are slightly different. Okay, but one other thing that's different, the base. Bases are just painted differently. This one has got the full silver color to it. Everything's silver. And, I mean, that sort of falls in line with the original team statue set. They all have, like, different bases, different shape bases to accommodate the pose of the statue, but all the bases are painted completely in silver. And so that is why this base has this particular look. This one over here, slightly different. The cutouts are silver, but the actual X itself and like the remainder of the base is like a darkish gray. I like the contrast of the two-tone color scheme for this base because it just makes the X stand out a little bit more. Like on this one, it's kind of like elegant. If you look at the set, the entire set of these like together, it looks really nice. And the silver bases, they kind of establish sort of a unifying element beyond the costume designs that really makes the whole set like look elegant in a sense, because it's kind of celebrating the origins of like these very important characters that have spawned 50 years worth of like stories and all sorts of offshoots and just kind of made them like legendary characters. So it makes sense to kind of celebrate the characters in a way that kind of establishes an elegance to the original designs in order to then be able to say, I have these statues because they are important to the canon of these characters and the origins of the characters. I hope that clearly establishes the importance of this set. Like aesthetically, if you're just looking at these statues as just for the way they look, the original costumes aren't that exciting to me. Maybe they are to some people for nostalgic reasons, but for aesthetic reasons, they're not that cool. I mean, obviously the costumes changed a lot throughout the years, and so although the original costumes like are super important to the origins of the characters, they don't look that great, and that's So as far as just looks, like obviously the costumes aren't that great, but there's so much importance to this original set, like I said, and so it makes sense that the bases would sort of elegantly complement the importance of the set. X Factor, X Factor being the original team coming back together after several years, you don't necessarily need to celebrate anything. You just kind of are able to then play with the design elements and kind of make it just a more sort of aesthetically interesting thing to look at, And so I think Randy Bowen et al., the Kucherek brothers, etc., whoever else was involved in the production, made a really nice choice to kind of make the base kind of two-tone and more elegant in a design aesthetic way, not in a sort of celebratory way. And so it makes this base look cooler, and I think thus this base wins out over this base. Basically, you got a better base over here. Base over here, cool though, very cool. Love the big X base, It's the bigger X base that Colossus has, that Havoc has. It's a nice base. So, we're having a little showdown here, so something has to be something has to be, deemed better than something else, just for the sake of fun, just for the sake of these videos. Why not, right? All right, so got the base. Now let's look at the poses. So you can see that this one here, the original costume, they're both very dynamic. The poses, love the poses, but this one over here has him sort of like posed forward and kind of leaning forward, not turned at all, just kind of. I mean, the arms, as you can see, the arms are in very similar positions here, but the torsos are not. So this one here, the original team, is like just kind of leaning forward and crouched down. This one here is crouched down, but he's like turned to the side, which kind of makes it more interesting. It just makes the look of the statue more interesting. It just makes everything look a lot more interesting. Like the musculature, the way the costume sort of is presented, and there's a lot more to look at in this costume, even though they're both very simple, because it's like an X and it's like all over his body, going from his back to his arms to his legs. Like it's really interesting to look at these design elements in this pose, which is a little bit more interesting than this one. Like I said, both costumes are very simple. There isn't much to them. I mean, this one has like a belt, and like the shirt and the granny panties are, they kind of protrude a bit out from the body, just to kind of give it like that extra thickness to kind of represent the fact that there's like cloth over cloth, which is cool. But this one I like even better because it's just a big tight like bodysuit, and so because it is this tight bodysuit, like you don't need, like, these other parts of the costume aren't obstructing sort of the musculature and the anatomy, and so you're basically getting like a very dynamic representation of this very agile and muscular and strong character, without much sort of without much limitation on us being able to see, like the power of that physique, or like the interesting aspect of the physique posed in an interesting way. And again, like I said, the X is all over the body. You've got two different colors, with the non-X parts versus the X parts. And so having this pose in this different way with this very cool X Factor costume just really makes the statue look a lot more interesting. So aside from the fact that this one is more limited, it actually just looks cooler. But, showdowns aside, like, I mean, the Kuchar brothers did such a great job with this statue. Both faces are pretty much identical. They did such a great job with that. It just captures Hank so well that you really can't go wrong just by getting either of them if you're just looking to get a Hank statue. But like I said, this one, it's got a more interesting base, it's got a more interesting pose, it's got a more interesting costume design. This one is just a better statue overall. Like I said, I have to make a choice because this is a showdown, and so this one winds up being better. But you can see, it's really cool to have both statues. You don't need to get one or the other. If you are able to get both of them, get both of them. If you're not looking to make the sets and you're just like a really big Hank McCoy fan, and you kind of want to represent Hank in the various eras that he's been represented in the various costumes, reflecting the various stages of his character development, get them both. Get them both. Get that third one that Bowen Designs is eventually going to come out with the blue and the red costume, and then get the Beast, the Blue Beast statue sculpted by Eric Sosa, which came out a few years ago, which is also very nice. I've taken a photo of that one with these two in the Showdown post. If you click on here, I think on the bottom right part of your screen where it says blog post, it'll take you to the blog post on X-Men Statues of Future Past if you're not on there already. And if you scroll down, you'll see the photos that I took of these two kind of together, kind of having a showdown, and eventually you'll get to a photo that has them both with the Blue Beast, and you can see it just looks really nice. It looks really great to kind of see this very, very pivotal character to the X-Men canon represented in a variety of stages of his character development in such different ways, all looking very cool. It just looks awesome. So if you're looking to just do like a Beast Hank McCoy display, you can do it. And now Bowen Designs is giving you various sort of sort of extra material to play with in that kind of a display. Again, each of these works great in their individual displays, group displays. So if you're looking to just, if you actually have the resources, if you have the resources, you don't have to do anything. But if you happen to have the resources and you're interested in doing team displays for the original team and the X Factor team, they both fit into both teams exceptionally well. Because they're both such great looking statues, they don't need to be compared as one being better than the other. Each set has its own value and they both look great. So just as far as like inherent design value, this is a home run statue regardless of the version, regardless of the team it winds up in. But once again, this is a showdown video. We are having a showdown between Beast versus Beast. Hank versus Hank. Who's gonna win? Who won? You know who won. It's clear. You don't need to think about it more than I've already thought about it for you. This is the better looking statue. Of course, if you disagree with me, chime in the comments section. Let me know what you think. Let the rest of us know what you think. Have a little debate about it. It's cool. That's what's fun about collecting, beyond just actually having the statues in your collection and being able to play with them in the displays. It's being able to interact with the other collectors and kind of, sharing our opinions with one another, occasionally having disagreements, hashing those disagreements out in friendly ways. Why not, right? Alright folks, that pretty much does it here. I think, let me give them both one last twirl so you can see them both together, side by side. Both great Beast statues. Really happy to have them both in my collection finally. Both sets are finally coming to fruition, and it's just a really exciting time for Beast, Beast statues. So there you are. Oh, look, I am Hank McCoy. Oh, get out of my way. Oh, no, actually, this one's better. There you go. Ding, 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 ding. We've got a winner. X Factor Hank McCoy, ladies and gentlemen. That does it for this showdown video. Once again, this is Dr. Remy LeBeau in the X-Lair. Thank you for checking out my blog, X-Men Statues of Future Past.blogspot.com. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel, Dr. Remy LeBeau's X-Lair. And as always, I'd like you to put an X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. Take care of yourselves, subscribe, keep track of what I'm putting up. Many more videos to come. You don't want to miss out. I'll catch y'all very soon. Bye-bye.